And Stephanie Martin is an assistant professor of communication studies from SMU. Appreciate you being here tonight, hours before the polls open.
Exciting.
And I was going to say all the excitement begins tomorrow. Okay, so Steve Eager did the numbers for us a couple minutes ago. Ted Cruz with an 11% lead over Trump. You think that's how it's going to play out in Texas tomorrow?
I expect that Cruz is going to have a good day. He better. If he doesn't have a good day in Texas, it's going to be a very, very long night for him. So the poll, there was a poll last week that came out from Emerson, I want to say, in Massachusetts that looked bad for him, but that was only one outlier poll. So I think the Cruz campaign has reason to be hopeful. But also interesting that he's the only candidate campaigning here today. So that really shows you how much Cruz understands is at stake here.
Well, the perception, how the rest of the country is going to look at Cruz if he doesn't win Texas.
And that, just 4 or 6 weeks ago, it looked like Cruz was going to win Texas almost in a walk, and then he could be elsewhere trying to. So what has gone from where Super Tuesday was supposed to be Ted Cruz's day to really shore up his support and show that he was someone who could really stand up against Trump has turned into him having to build, to borrow a phrase from the Democratic side, a firewall that says, no, I can at least get Texas.
Well, what about Rubio, though? Because, right now, at least this latest poll that we had in 19, he's got to hit that 20% mark or he walks away from Texas with nothing.
Well, he could walk away from Texas with nothing. And the other question for Rubio is that, he doesn't really lead the polls. He's not near leading the polls in any of the Super Tuesday states. He could do okay in Georgia because Georgia has Atlanta, and Atlanta has maybe some more moderate conservatives that might jump him up. But if Rubio comes out of Super Tuesday and still hasn't won a state, he has said in his campaign he doesn't have to win until March 15th.
Yeah, he said that today.
But that's a long wait to go. And for how long can you continue to say that I came in second or third or fourth? That's a difficult way to keep your supporters and keep those checks rolling in when you're asking for that, particularly if Cruz stays in.
And that gives Trump even, I think, more ammunition, which we have seen plenty of go, between these three. Talk about David Duke and how you think that's going to affect Trump in all this.
Well, so it's very interesting. It's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be another example of, like Trump is saying, I don't exactly agree with his critique of saying it's a media-instigated firestorm, but the so-called media elite, or what we might better call the conventional wisdom, has said, Trump is going to fall, Trump can't win. That has now gone to can Trump lose? And so is this a case of the conventional wisdom saying that? Or if there's one thing that the evangelical voter is very proud of, it's the heritage of being the first constituency to stand up against slavery, right? And Trump has had a surprising run with evangelicals. So this is a really interesting juxtaposition against that history that voting demographic is proud of, as compared to this group that has been willing to look at someone in a way that has been surprising to begin with.
Right. Okay, we need to switch now to the Democratic side. Let's talk about Hillary and Bernie. Hillary looks to just take most of the state tomorrow. What's been the difference, do you think, with her? Because things seem to have kind of, I think, is how people are looking at her. I keep hearing things like, well, she's more personable, she's more relatable lately.
Well, some people who study political rhetoric and the way speeches work have noticed the switch from her. She's gone from using the I will do this, I'm going to do this, to using the we. I think that's part of it. I think, too, the move to states that have the demography question matters, right? Having voters of color. I read a very interesting analysis in the Washington Post that pointed out that the Sanders message is very on point and it's very appealing, but it says, 1% of people have all the assets in our country and have all the wealth, and we have this inequality problem, and 99% are all over here. And this analysis was saying that voters of color, for them, they always have felt as though, well, what works out for that the United States is not a country in which what the votes that rise for white people don't always work out the same for those voters of color. And if you look at Clinton's rhetoric, she has done a good job. She has very similar programs to Sanders, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But when she talks, she points out, and she's willing to say, and these programs will do this for the communities of color, they will do this for women, they will do this. So she breaks that out. And so whereas Sanders has this huge block of the 99%, she breaks that out in ways discursively that they think maybe appeals to those voters of color.
That she's talking to me or to my friends, to our group.
And to people who are saying, well, the recession is over and, these folks are doing better, but look at us over here. We're still not. We're still here and we're still not doing well.
Well, you're going to be here tomorrow night on Fox 4 News at 9 and at 10 to look at everything for us. We appreciate you coming in tonight,
Wonderful.
Stephanie. Thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Yep, tomorrow night's a big night, Super Tuesday. 12 states vote tomorrow. Stay with Fox 4 for coverage of Super Tuesday. We'll have results as soon as the polls close online at fox4news.com. And then coverage begins on Fox 4 News at 9.